English Nomad here. This is the latest in my series on building my overland camper. In this short video I'm just going to give everyone an update as to the build progress, some exciting developments since the last video. I've fitted the new subframe tray which the camper will sit on. I did that installation yesterday. It came back, the frame came back from the powder coaters about a week ago. I installed the fiberglass laminated marine plywood deck, and yesterday, with some assistance from my neighbour and another individual who was here to collect the old tray, I was able to get the new tray on, bolted on, with all the lights and number plates and everything fitted, and that's now on the vehicle. I will put some photographs in the corner here so that you can see what it looks like with the new tray on. It feels a lot lighter. Taking the other tray off, the weight of the other tray was comparable to the new tray, even though the old tray was aluminium. This one's steel. The old tray had a lot of steel components on it, so factoring all that in, I think weight wise it's going to be very comparable. The next phase of the build is going to be the actual living accommodation. As I alluded to in the last video, that has been the materials for that, the panels that are going to make up the walls of the cabin have been ordered. They should start manufacturing those for me within the next week or two, with hopefully targeting early December for them to arrive in Perth, so that I can start putting the accommodation cabin together while I'm on annual leave at Christmas. I've received other materials. I've received, and I'll show you in a short while in this video, I've received the materials for the pop top roof, the aluminium extrusion, and I've started cutting and preparing those materials to build the roof section, and so I can give you a little bit of a glimpse as to how that is coming along. So now I'm going to answer a few viewer questions. In my last video I asked for some questions, if anyone had any questions, so I have received some questions, so I'll get into that right now. I'll just get my computer and so I can read the questions straight off the YouTube channel and in my email account. So I'm going through all of the questions that I've received on various of my videos and just going to go through in chronological order. So I received a question from my dad in the UK. His question was, it should be good to see the gradual evolution of your mobile home. Will you be towing a trailer to carry your reserve fuel and supplies, or will it be all self-contained? I'm not going to tow a trailer. One of the reasons that I've decided to go down this particular route is because I didn't want to tow a trailer. I built a trailer last year, which was a heavy duty off-road camper trailer, and after using it on several trips I realised it wasn't how I wanted to be set up. The idea of having a trailer has its benefits, but I don't like towing a trailer, and I prefer the idea of being completely self-contained. So I hope that answers your question, Dad. The next question, which is a very similar question to one of the other questions I got from Susan, who's here in Perth, and Susan's question, if I can find it, is, Mike, what's your destination? So when I eventually start my trip, I'm going to head, because I'm planning on leaving around the end of autumn, the end of spring. I'm going to head east along the southern part of the continent and going anti-clockwise, heading north towards the end of the dry season, the end of the wet season in the northern part of Australia. So the top end of Australia in the summertime is the wet season, and a lot of the roads up there are impassable, a lot of road closures, a lot of heavy flooding. So my aim is to spend the summertime in the south of the continent, and then in the winter time, which is the dry season, up north, head north, Cape York, across through the top end of Queensland, and then into the Northern Territory, and perhaps work my way back round into Western Australia. But nothing is really set in stone. I haven't got a fixed destination, I haven't got a fixed time frame that I'm working to, so it's pretty much go with the flow and just see what every day brings. So the next question is from Kimberly in Little Rocks, Arkansas in the United States, and her question, similar to Susan's: where do you plan to travel and what led you to this journey? Well, that obviously I've explained where I plan to travel, but what led me to this journey? I guess for me it was a realization that life's very short and I enjoy traveling, and I want to travel while I'm still young enough and fit enough to get to places where I can get to now that I might perhaps not be able to get to when I'm much older, perhaps with illnesses, and so it's about making the most of the opportunity now while I'm still young enough to enjoy it. And I've come to a point where I want to take my foot off the gas in terms of my career for a little while. I've had a really good 10 years. I've enjoyed my career, but I want to take a bit of time out for me. So that's another factor in making this decision. So I hope that answers your question, Kimberly. On to the next question, which came in by email from James, who's in Brisbane. And his question is, this looks like quite a complicated build. Have you done anything like this before? And yes and no. I've been working with vehicles for pretty much all of my adult life, and I've done all kinds of vehicle modifications. I've had several four-wheel drives which have been quite modified, not extreme modifications, but things like changing the suspension, putting on additional equipment, bull bars, winches, and I've worked with vehicles from pretty much being a teenager right up to the current time. In terms of building a camper on the back of a truck, no, I've never done that before, so this is the first. And I have built, as I alluded to earlier on in this video, I did build a trailer last year which was built to my own designs. I drew the plans on AutoCAD, so I can use AutoCAD, and bought all the materials and fabricated it from scratch all the way up to completion, and then took it to the pits, which is where you get vehicles inspected here in Western Australia. I had the trailer inspected and it passed, and it became a registered vehicle. I sold that earlier this year to start this project. Now, my background is I'm a boilermaker welder by trade, so I did my apprenticeship in the UK. I spent 20 years as a fabricator in heavy industry and also in general fabrication, working with all different types of materials and using different welding processes. and so I've got a lot of experience in fabrication. I've got a lot of experience in materials and construction and welding. So so I have a lot of experience in that arena. I can do basic design work because I've been trained in AutoCAD. I'm qualified to use AutoCAD, and I've got a lot of other skill sets which can be applied to this project. So I feel fairly confident in taking this project on, and I don't see any major challenges in this project. So I hope that answers your question, James. If you want to do a follow-up question, I'm happy to answer any more questions that you have around taking on a project like this. But it's about for me, working in fabrication for most of my life, and now I'm a technical specialist for an engineering company. I've got a lot of experience in planning projects, in understanding what's required to deliver a project. I work in quality assurance now, so I've got an eye for detail, and I hope that will come through as this project develops, when you see how this project progresses. I think for me the most important factor is having a really good schedule, understanding how the build needs to be done to meet that schedule, and being flexible enough to change the schedule or adapt to changes that are out of your control, so that you can still hit your scheduled deadlines. So, so that I hope that answers all of the questions that I've received, and please keep the questions coming. I'm happy to do these Q&A sessions on a regular basis, and if anyone's got any questions, they can email me at fastrhino@gmail.com, or they can leave a message on my YouTube channel, and I will either answer it in the comments, or I'll save the questions up and do another Q&A session. So what I'm going to do for the rest of this video is I'm just going to show you the floor plan of the camper. I've done a mock-up, a timber mock-up of the dimensions, the outer wall dimensions of the cabin, just to use as a jig for making the roof. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you some of the materials. You can have a look at the floor plan. So we'll get right into that right now. Hi. So I hope everyone can use their imagination and just picture the floor space that is going to be the camper that I'm building. Where I'm stood right now is going to be the entrance door. So looking this way, that's going to be the front of the camper, so that's where the LandCruiser front end is. This is the back end, so this is the tail of the unit. So this is the entrance door, so I would be coming in through the entrance door into the cabin area, and the pink lines that I've put out with tape, they represent the layout of the fixed furniture within the cabin. So if we just go up here, I'll just show you where the position of the windows are. So there's going to be a window here in the wall, there's going to be a window on the opposite side, and there's going to be another window about here. The height of the cabin when it's closed with the lid down is going to be around here. And the height of the cabin with the roof up, because it's a pop top, is going to be around here. So I'll have plenty of headroom inside the camper. Now that may seem awfully high, and there is a reason for that. I wanted to keep the closed height as low as possible, so that when I'm on the road I don't get a lot of resistance from carrying a big unit on the back. If it's too tall, obviously it affects your fuel economy. But by having the roof go up that height, it allows me to have the bed elevated. So looking at the floor plan as it is now, there's going to be a seated area here with a table, and that seated area will have under seat storage. So at this end of the camper, under the seating here, there'll be the water tank and the electrical system. Now, the next video I'm going to go into the electrical system because I've got all the components, the major components for the electrical system. So I'll do a breakdown of that in the next video. Obviously, seating here, and then a table which will collapse down and form another sleeping area here. But my bed will be up here, and while the roof is up, it will be tilted up, and then when I'm ready to go to bed, it can drop down and I'll be sleeping up here. Now, in the canvas fabric that I'm having made for the pop-top tent, I'm putting windows in. So I'll have windows in the canvas. So when I'm in bed, I'll be able to look out of the windows. So some of the beautiful places in Australia, I'll be able to wake up in the morning, look out of the window, see the sunrise and all that sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to the way that I'm going to lay this out. I think it's going to lend itself to a really awesome experience on the road. So continuing back, this area here is going to be where the fridge sits. Again, I'm trying to keep as much of the weight forward of the rear axle. I don't want too much weight at the back end. So everything that is heavy is as far forward as possible. This area here is going to be the kitchen area. So it's going to be a kitchen workbench, there'll be a sink, a cooktop. Under the countertop there'll be storage drawers and cupboards, and that just about sums up the basic layout. There's probably going to be a little bit of tweaking here and there. I need to make space for a chemical toilet, and I'm probably going to put a privacy screen around here somewhere so that I can have an internal shower toilet area. What else? Clothing storage will be under these two seats here. Food storage is obviously going to be in the kitchen, and hopefully I should have enough storage for what I need to carry on the road. Now, this piece of material here, I'll just lift it up so you can get a better view of it. This is part of the pop-top roof. This is the extrusions that I have bought which form the pop-top roof. So I've got two pieces of that here. These are offcuts, but you can see what the extrusion looks like. This is the bottom extrusion which sits on top of the wall. That's what this is here. And this is the top part of the extrusion that sits on top of it. The tent fabric gets fastened in to these two slots here, and when it opens up it forms a tent like sock. I think they call it a sock, like a wall of canvas. And within that it houses a rubber seal, so when it's closed it's all sealed up from the elements. So I've started fabricating that, and that's what this is here. This is the first piece of the pop-top roof, and this gets mounted onto the cabin. So I plan on having all of the aluminium extrusion cut to length and loosely put together to make sure everything fits, and if it all fits okay, I'll get it securely fastened, and then it can go off to the canvas manufacturer who's going to make up the canvas part of the build. In order to lift the roof and elevate the roof, I have these lifters. Now these lifters will sit on the extrusion, they'll be fixed to the extrusion and fixed to the part that pops up. These are just spring loaded. So at the moment these are rated at 40 kilos, so they'll load 40 kilos up, and I'm just going to put 2 on for now while it goes off to have the canvas made, and then once I get the roof panel and I mount the roof panel inside the lid, then I'll have a better idea of whether I need to go with forward. But I suspect once I put the roof panel in and my solar panels on the top and all the additional bits and bobs that need to go onto the roof, that I'm going to need all 4, and there'll probably be 1 here and 1 over here, and obviously 1 at the other end. So those are the main parts of the roof. By the time that this goes off to get the canvas tent made, I should be getting pretty close to getting the panels from Queensland for the actual cab itself, and they're going to come with all of the openings for the doors and windows already in there. The company who I'm engaging to make the walls are also supplying the windows. So that's where I'm up to with that. So yeah, I hope that gives you a better insight into the project and the layout of the camper. It's actually, when you're in here, it's a lot more room than it looks like, but that may change once all the furniture is in there. A friend of mine commented yesterday that there's plenty of room to swing a cat. I'm sure my cat would object to that, but yeah, I think there's going to be more than enough room for me, Bronson, who's asleep at the moment, and my cat, who's around somewhere. So until next time, thank you very much for watching this video. Please like this video. It's really important that I grow this channel, because one of the things that I want to do is I want to share this project with as many people as possible, because I've got a lot of ideas. I've had a lot of inspiration from other people's projects, and I think it's only fair and equitable to share what I'm doing with other people, because they may get inspiration and ideas from what I'm doing. So share the video, like the video, and please subscribe. Until next time, Mike signing off.